Yo, what is up, everybody, family? Welcome to 21st Men, where we are redefining masculinity through our 4 pillars of modern manhood: integrity, community, entrepreneurialism, and mental health. Well, get ready, because tonight, we got another sick show lined up. Let's roll them. All right, fam, get ready for tonight's table talk on a really controversial men's rights and abortions. It's about to get kind of crazy in here and a little controversial, spicy. Pow.
Welcome to the Table Talk. I am your host today, Vince Kander, and we are joined today with our cast. Go ahead and introduce yourself, guys.
Brandon Lampley.
Matthew Wyman. Jason Scott. Luis Green.
So today, we're going to talk about fathers' rights and abortions. How many at the table are fathers? Raise your hand. Really? You're going to denounce 3 children?
3. All 3 of them are.
How many are sons at this table? So, and we're all future fathers, potentially. Right? There's the potential to become.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about fathers' rights in the idea of abortion, except for Brandon. Brandon don't want none.
No, I want all the talk on abortion.
So we're going to start with the constitutional amendment, the 14th Amendment, which granted Roe v. versus Wade and all of the other types of cases that came against abortion in any capacity. So it says, it is claimed that the Constitution actually forbids, I'm going to read from something though, it claimed that the Constitution actually forbids protection for the unborn, and where in the Constitution, according to the court, is the prohibition found? That is the 14th Amendment. It's actually going to be found. And the court said that in the amendment's due process clause includes explicit right of privacy that encompasses a right to abortion. Before we continue, context, we're not arguing whether or not abortion is right or wrong. We're not arguing what race has more abortion rates. We're not arguing any of that. We're not arguing its legality. What we're saying is that it's legal right now, and should fathers have a right to that abortion? That's where we're going right now and talking. So right now, if a man's pregnant partner seeks to have an abortion, the father's consent isn't legally required. What do you guys think about that?
It's terrible.
Why is it terrible?
Absolutely terrible, because I have 0% authority, but once the baby gets here, I'll have 100% responsibility. And that's not fair. They want to talk about equality and us being equal. It's not fair. I take it back to Dave Chappelle. Well, Dave Chappelle, he said, a woman's right is her body, her choice. You know, if you have a phallus, sit that one out. You have no say-so in that. But also, a man shouldn't have to pay. If he doesn't want to be financially responsible for that child, he should not have to pay.
Well, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
So what about you guys? How do you guys think about that narrative alone?
Talking about the my body, my choice thing, right?
No, well, essentially, yes, but the idea of not being able to have a say in the idea of an abortion.
I don't like the my body, my choice thing, because kind of like to piggyback off of what he was saying, at the time of conception and while she's pregnant, she believes all the power should be hers and all the responsibility should rest with her. But once the child gets here, now she wants you to be involved and have a say-so in how everything goes, when he might have said in the beginning that he didn't want to be a father.
Yeah.
Or we're talking about her wanting the abortion. So he might have wanted to be a father, and if she goes and aborts it, it's her right to do that, and he can't say anything otherwise. I don't think that's right, because she has every right, if she doesn't want to be a mother, to give up her parental rights and let him be a single father. But the rights aren't the same the other way around. You know what I mean? If he doesn't want to be a father and she wants to be a mother,
Gotcha.
it doesn't work the same way, and I don't think that's fair.
So it talks about that in the idea of that the legal reasoning for this is twofold, based on women's right to privacy in their medical decisions, as well as the fact that the mother is more directly affected by the pregnancy than the father, right? So that's why that protection was upheld, particularly in Roe v. versus Wade. So in that sense, would you say that they're calling the fetus property?
Topic itself, I'll say it's one that the narrative is a little bit kind of rubs against some of my personal preferences and choices and things that I believe. But from a standpoint on what is fair, right? So I think at the front end of that, there's validity to what it's saying, right? So the woman is facing the changes. She is the one that's messing. The body's changing on her behalf. The damage, if you will, is on her end solely.
So does a father deserve the right to be notified prior to an abortion?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about that.
I mean, because she didn't do this by herself. You know what I'm saying? You don't. Sometimes you don't know. Even if you don't know what kind of father he will be or will not be. The point of the matter is y'all did it together, and I should at least have a notification of something. Even if I don't want to do it, I do.
I mean, if you didn't kill him, I should at least be able to abandon him. I mean, that's kind of...
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh at that, but that was so...
I mean, it's the truth, though. I mean, if they pass a law today saying that men can waive their rights and don't have to be financially responsible for the children that are born that they father, the birth rate drops dramatically today. Women have way more discernment about who they allow to get them pregnant if men could waive their rights.
So there's a choice. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, men can waive, if they could waive their rights, man.
When a woman is altered, there's baggage. And a man, a lot of times, she's got babies, she's not a candidate. Right? A man has babies, he's still a candidate. Because why? Because a woman's taking care of the baby. So you're kind of free in limbo, but yeah, he might have to make some payments, but I don't have to even see the baby.
That's social proof as well. But everything you just said, Luis, me listening to that, and I think it goes double for black women because of how they're perceived in the medical field, supposedly stronger. They don't listen to their gripes and grievances when they go to the doctor. You know, you have women who've had issues and they tell them nothing's wrong and they go home and die. So, it happens. So all of that you just said, they go through all these changes and they have babies by bums. I don't understand.
And you know what?
It's the closest you come to death, and you pick bottom shelf bread. Like, why?
So let's talk about that for a minute. So let's talk about the financial aspect for just a moment. So we talk about that and the idea of dating a bum and child support as a whole, right? So so it says here that child support in Florida, there are two types of custody, legal and physical. Typically, divorced parents share parenting time and joint legal custody. However, you can have joint legal custody and still pay child support based on the court's objective. So they go on a timetable, like who's making what, if they're making the same, who's bringing what into the household. Right. Do you believe it is the courts should be involved, rather, in the decision when it comes to, let's say, a family who wants, so if, let's say a mom and a father go to court and they say, listen, I'm here, I'm here, she's here, there shouldn't be a legal reasoning to get involved with the idea of a child. And we're not talking about those ones where a father's gone or a mother's gone, and then you need to do that, right? We're talking about the ones that are there, present, but child support hits you, and you can go to jail if you don't pay child support. Like, that's a criminal infraction. That's not a civil infraction. Do you feel like that's right or wrong to have the court in that position?
Real quick, I'm gonna give you something to think about. So I was watching a guy on YouTube. I think it's Coach Greg Adams, and he was talking about. He said if child support was really about supporting the child, then they would have a set amount of money that each child would get. Of course, depending on the man's money. So if you make a lot of money, you're on the higher end. If you don't make a lot of money, you're on the lower end. But it's a certain amount, and it doesn't go above that. It's not percentages of your income or how you're doing or the deals, assets, and things like that. If it was truly about taking care of children, you come up with an amount that can take care of a child throughout 18 years, and you set the parameters that way. But that is not what it's about.
That's exactly what I say. I say, they should get economists together and say, how much does it take to raise a child adequately? What amount on average?
There is a number on that. I don't know the
like 250,000 or so.
But I would challenge us from a society standpoint, right? So let's say that we all said, what is the minimum it takes to raise a child? Well, let's say a father who is very well set off, that offspring, should now, is now getting they're getting less than they should have gotten because socially speaking, right? Somebody who's wealthy, their offspring have a higher likelihood of also being wealthy, right? So, but now you're actually doing a double disadvantage, right? Because now we know that broken homes, the likelihood of a person who comes from a broken home with no father is your likelihood to succeed drastically goes down, right?
does.
And now we're thinking, oh, but you're only gonna get, even though your dad is super wealthy, and it could go both ways. If the wife makes a lot more, then she would have to pay it too, right?
Yeah.
So, oh, but your mom or dad is really wealthy, but you're gonna get the disadvantage, and the child should not be the one that's getting the disadvantage. Honestly, if I had to put it in perspective, I would say that the child should get more money, but this is where I think the caveat should be. The money shouldn't go to the parent. That's because I think what happens a lot of times, and I've heard this, and I've never faced it myself, but what I've heard of and I've seen is that the money's not going to the kid always, and that's where I think it's the challenge. You know?
Well,
I think my thing with that is this though. I
the
feel
quick
if,
question, yeah.
if the wealth gap between the father and mother is so wide, and you want to charge him the child support to, I guess, equate to what he makes, why not just give him custody? If we want to give the child the best possible life and he actually wants custody,
Right.
why not say, instead of saying let's charge him all this child support, just put the child in the man's home.
How many-
Here's,
how many fathers do you think
here's
want?
I'm going to let you go in just a minute. I want to clarify that one though, and I agree. Did you guys know, and this is just a yes or no question, did you guys know that fathers, in a instance where the parent is unmarried, if you're not on the birth certificate, any man can come on the birth certificate, doesn't matter, even if they don't have a blood test, that you don't even have to have a blood test to get child support. Like, if they say you're the father in the state of Florida.
Right. I say this. I agree with what he's saying because I've been paying child support for almost 10 years and I don't have no back pay. But I feel the court should be involved because whether what the other parents make or not, that's their life to do what they got to do for their own income. The money is for the child. But what it gets messed up at is that when the guy's doing what he's supposed to do, and then the other parent goes out and says, well, he needs that, he needs this, and you're like, well, wait a minute.
Or the child support.
I'm doing more than I'm supposed to be doing, even though I don't have a problem doing it. And then some people come back and get mad at you and you're not being a great father, you're not doing. Wait a minute. I'm doing my part. I'm spending time with him. But the fact that I'm less of a person because I don't go out my way to do more, and I don't think that's fair. And I think that causes too that they're not doing what they're supposed to do with the money.
So here's a question. Should we take it from a criminal and a wage, like being able to garnish wages like a student loan kind of thing, from a criminal infraction to a civil infraction?
Yes, because I don't understand the system and the way it's set up to where you put men in jail. The object is to get money out of the man. When he goes to jail, most times what happens, he loses his job. So who's benefiting from him going?
And how long does it take to get through the process to change the court orders?
Yeah.
Because it's such a long process.
Yeah, I think that should be changed. There should be a way to be able to garnish the wages. Well, there's a way to garnish the
Right.
wages, but I think the prosecution system that goes with that, I think that would definitely be.
So before we end tonight, there's one more thing that I want to help you guys out with as dads in the future, as well as future children.
Brand new car!
And all of you dads and future dads watching at home, that if you're getting married, even if you're in a marriage, if you decide to get a prenup, or not, whatever you decide to do, there are private agreements that you can have signed that state that a father may be able to come into agreement with his pregnant wife or pregnant partner outside of the court system if they would like to keep the baby. They will pay for all the pregnancy, but as soon as that baby is born, that baby's custody is automatically given to the father. Period, point blank. There's mom don't have no more custody if she signs that agreement.
So she would have no say in it?
He would have full custody because he paid, because she was going to get an abortion. That's the concept, right? So because she's afraid of those things that you were talking about, the all those types of things, and I can't afford this or I can do this. Well, he'll pay for the post-op, all this kind of stuff. He'll take care of it all. But he wants his child.
Can't afford it. There's
Right.
systems in place.
Right, huh?
You know how they throw out a prenup by saying they signed under distress?
I didn't hear about that one.
Oh yeah,
But if
you never heard about that? And I think you could do the same with that because Dr. Dre, he's getting divorced, and at the last minute he said, "Hey, I got a prenup," and his wife's contesting it. Her contest is she signed it under duress. So like, say you on your wedding day, and your wife, you've been telling her to sign a prenup, and she hasn't signed it, she's waiting till the last minute. You say, hey, you got to sign this prenup. She signed it under pressure. She said, he made me sign on the wedding day. They're going to throw it out.
So much legal leverage.
Yeah.
It is.
So there's legal leverage in the idea of being a woman in this concept.
Yeah.
You would think. Okay. So as we end, what is one way? I mean, I think one way that you could do it for me is to create the system in a more civil way. But what is your guys' thought process on that before we end? This will be the last question.
Don't be having sex with chicks you're not trying to have babies with.
Okay.
I mean, that's
You know, that's an easy fix. Like if you're having sex in the context of marriage, your likelihood of having an abortion probably goes down.
Okay. I
Right?
agree.
So I mean, and maybe have some
Or
of these
commission,
conversations.
yeah.
You know, have some of these conversations early on. You know, like I mean, I've subscribed to sex in the context of marriage, but if you're not subscribing to that, you know, have these conversations. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I know like you're on the pill, or I'm using a condom or whatever.
But I need you to
let's say-
sign this. I'm
Let's say
joking.
this the plan doesn't work. Like, what happens thereafter? Like, do you want to have an abortion? Do you not? Like, and then you kind of talk through some of these difficult conversations, because really what happens is we take steps to commit without the commitment. And then we say, well, I should have some say. Well, you probably should have had some say at the beginning too. You know, so I think it's just putting your 2 cents forward at the beginning too, you know, and that's good for any relationship
Yep.
advice.
And both parties.
Yeah. I'm curious now, just on your story. So, did you have babies planned? Was it a surprise? Were you married? Were you single?
I was in the middle of working on a relationship and
Yeah.
it happened. And, you know, in that situation before she got pregnant, we went separate, you know what I'm saying? And then I told her to do in the process, you know, hey, look, you know, if it is mine, I'll be there. But, you know, if it's not, then I have to pay.
Yeah.
But I'll be there.
Which is interesting because I had my son. He was actually, we were not married
Right.
when we had Caden, and you know, it's kind of unique because I mean, I tell you, my wife's an angel, but you know, in that process, never, and I guess I've never felt the pressure of like, hey, you know, like some of our ideologies were already set. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, she never told me you have to pay for the baby. She's like, hey, if you want to be in the baby's life, cool. If not, like, cool. Like, you know, don't have to worry about it. You just go to California, don't see the kids. And obviously that was never my intention because I love my wife. But
Right. So too, we should also do a better process on teaching our young men to do better too, right? Our young kids, our young
discernment. Have
yes,
Good right there.
yeah.
Because I mean, I believe that paternity tests should be optional at birth, because paternity fraud is entirely too high in this country. It's 20,
Mandatory?
It's 20. It could be mandatory, but I think more optional whether you want to get it or not. It doesn't have to be mandatory, but paternity
It should
fraud
be
is
an
20
option.
to 30% in this country.
Yeah.
And that means 2 out of 10.
Where are you getting that
3 out of
statistic from?
10. We gonna link it.
Okay, cool.
2 out of 10, 3 out of 10 kids are not the children of the father. That's an issue too. But that's a whole nother episode. That's paternity fraud.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
gotta get in on that.
we may in Man Theory, and stay tuned to our continued table talks where we will continue to do these types of open conversations. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I appreciate you so much, guys, for being on the show.
Sure. All right.
all right, guys, get ready for Man Theory. Talking about man stuff. Even more manly than that.
Okay, so here we are, Man Theory, curated by the 21st Man. Something that's been on my mind lately is routine and how it ties into your purpose. For me, my routine is calendar notifications and constant alarms. That's how I stay on top of my goals and daily tasks and things of that nature. I don't have this thing where someone like a Grant Cardone would say, get up at 5 a.m, read this book, run 10 blocks.
Hey man, leave my man Uncle G alone.
You know.
Listen, Uncle G is the man now. Let me stop. I'm bad. Like literally my whole calendar, I schedule everything. It's crazy. Like I schedule when I get up. I schedule what I do as soon as I get up. Like literally it'd be like, boom, get up. I do my kind of gratefulness, you know, talk to myself, have a list of things I do. Right after that, like, it's like, I go right into like a breathing exercise, get my breath right. Literally then go to the kitchen, get my water with my key lime. It's got to be key lime, can't be lime.
Alkaline
'cause I'm
water,
bougie.
that's the alkaline
I'm
water,
bougie.
yeah.
And so, like, it's literally, and it's all on my phone. If you look on my phone, you'll be like, what is this dude is crazy, you know? But I have to have that routine flow, man. Like it's directly connected to making sure I succeed in walking in my purpose.
Yeah, man, that's amazing, man. Because I kind of got like the same kind of similar thing. I don't think it's written down so much, but I wrote it down like once. I'm usually like it's all in the head kind of person. So, you know, I just tell myself, you know, I wake up, I meditate, have meditation time. I read an hour throughout my day or something empowerment. You know, for the most part, if I get off track, that's when I look at the, you know, the list, you know what I'm saying? But most of the time when you're just used to doing it, you know, you're already gonna do it anyway. So I usually just, you know, meditate, read, you know, maybe do a little bit of prayer time, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, and I listen to a lot of, you know, videos or something like that to get me going and help me stay on track of my routine, you know.
I like that you said, like, you don't have to have that list, you know, like, because it became a part of you. You know, it's just it's part of your everyday flow, man. That's awesome. That's awesome.
So my question would be then, when it comes to a specific goal that you have, because we talking about kind of like routines in a general sense, but like if we talking purpose or specific goals, my question is like, does your routine change to adjust to that goal, or does it kind of just, do these goals kind of just flow into the routine that you, because for me, it's like, my routine changes based on the goal.
Yeah.
So for instance, I just wrote a book. It's called Better Late Than Never, by the way.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Former procrastinator here. And how I got out of that is what I just said, adjusting my routine based on my goals. And for me, even writing that book, I'm a late night guy. So I did a lot of it late night, you know, talking into the mic, having it voice record what I'm saying, and then doing all the edits after that. Throughout the day, I'm doing other stuff like working my day job. You guys know I'm a real estate agent too, doing stuff like that. So once
shameless plug, need a house.
Another shameless plug. Once night falls, then I get into my other goals, and the fuller the moon is, the more life I have to put into that.
Okay.
Do goals kind of drive what you guys' routines are, would you say?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
got to.
I mean, I think mine is like, if whatever I'm doing, it's just embedded. It's just whatever is in my routine. It's whatever I'm trying to do, wherever I'm trying to go. It's already in there. So it's in there every time. So that's how it is with me. It's the same thing every day. But I just remind myself, you know, just to keep me going. So
how do you scale though? Because I was always taught things don't change until you do. Like, so I have my routines, but I have to change my routines in order to scale whatever it is I'm trying to do. In other words, bring it to another level. You know?
That's the point I was making, basically how you have to adjust based on your goals. Like a football player and an actor probably aren't going to have the same routine because their goals are different.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess my goals wouldn't be the same as yours, nor would our routines be the same because our goals are different.
Right.
And though I understand that things have to change, like when I think about routines and purpose, I find that most people just go through the motions of routines with no purpose.
Yeah.
Like, have you guys ever like felt that way about
Yeah.
your everyday life? Like,
I felt that way about myself. So how do you fix that?
I mean, that's an identity issue, right? That's what I would think. That's what I would think, especially in a world where you can literally decide what you are, self-identify, which drives me crazy. Like, you know, that somebody can decide they're a man when they were born a woman or vice versa.
Man, I go through life seeing this all the time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just whether it's talking to a female or it's in somebody I don't know, I just meet or whatever. There's so many times you just see that, like they live in like I always say, you living a life without living a life you know of. Like you just, or sometimes you can, sometimes when you do understand, you can see yourself living your life outside of living your life. You know what I'm saying? Like if you was to look into a globe and you can say, okay, I'm living my life, but then also I can see what I'm doing when I'm living it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't do that or understand how to do that because
And look outside, get outside,
look outside
yourself
and just
to,
see, you know what I'm saying? I mean, and that's all, that goes into time to your purpose, but I mean, but that's not you in your purpose. You just got to just tap into yourself and then, like he was just saying, finding that identity. You know what I'm saying? So once you find that identity, then I guess you start to understand a little bit more, like what you're doing, where you're going. You know what I'm saying? But that's just self time.
Man, that's just another layer to this conversation once you bring identity into it. Because what you expose yourself to, like you're saying, what you eat, all these things that you impart into your spirit, it shapes your identity, which then shapes your routine, which could consequently shape your purpose. It could alter your purpose in a negative way or a positive way. I think I found my identity when I stepped away from external things that might have shaped me earlier in life, got by myself, looked in that mirror, and I shaped my own identity through self-reflection. That's something I talk about it in my book too. That's actually a chapter in my book, self-reflection. I think once you get that down, you can shape your identity, build routines and your purpose out of that.
Okay. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Self-reflection, that's huge, something that most people don't do. Like I take the time to make sure, in order to make sure that my routines and my purpose are aligned, I will journal in the morning and at night. Because you'll be surprised how many things that happen throughout the day that actually changed the way you think. And unless you actually write it down and reflect on it, like you're talking about, self-reflection, you may be accepting something as a part of who you are now, identity-wise, and then it pulls you away from the purpose you're actually meant to walk in.
Unconsciously,
You know?
it happens unconsciously.
Journaling is everything. Self-reflection is everything.
Yeah, I mean, man, this is a great conversation. But I mean, with me, like, it's just, there's so many similar things that I do throughout my day with this stuff. And but my thing is, to me, that just like with writing it down. If something come to my head, I have to write it down. Like if I'm reading or I'm listening to audio, I have to write it down. You know what I'm saying? Because it'll help me just speak into existence with somebody or give somebody some knowledge when I already. So that's one thing for me is just like reading it and just getting to that point that I can just use something to highlight and just write it down and give it out. So yeah, definitely.
Spending some time alone is because, like y'all are saying, like when these things influence your unconscious mind, and then you start to have these unhealthy mindsets that you didn't realize that you had, it's only self-reflection that's going to allow you to identify that, change that negative mindset into a healthy one. I've had to do that a lot over the years, and had I not done that, I don't know what my identity would be. So
yeah,
I love that, man. This is a conversation that needs to be had more. I'm glad we were able to talk, just because most people don't know their purpose.
Right.
You know.
Right. So taking that time to get alone and learn your purpose is something that us as men need to do, women too. This is the 21st men, so we're talking to everybody, but especially those young men out there who are kind of lost in their identity. Man, get by yourself, spend some time with the man in the mirror and figure out what you got going on inside, man. But enjoyed the conversation, definitely enjoyed the conversation once again. This is Man Theory, curated by the 21st Men. We'll see you guys on the next episode.
All right, guys, I know you guys are sad it's over, but we still got next time. But before you leave this time, like, share, subscribe, leave some comments. You make my boy over there real happy. Just go, do it now. Love ya. Out.